Ladies and gentlemen, this is a wall and Sakna.
Awesome. So these are called the Theodosian walls, and this was built during the reign of the Emperor Theodosius II. And so this means that the walls are around 1,600-ish years old. These are not the actual walls that were built at that time, because walls need constant repair and renovation. So these were the walls that were finally built around, like, let's say 600-ish years ago. And when the Theodosian walls were first built, they were built to be, you know, the tallest walls that were seen in the Western world, in the Middle East. So these were indeed really massive walls. Like, as you can see over here, the walls over here, they stretch onto about waist level. So, you know, it's not really like a tall wall. But all those centuries ago, over 1,000 years ago, the ground level would have been much lower, meaning that the walls were much higher at that time. And obviously, if these walls are going to be like 3 meters, 4 meters tall, those walls are obviously going to be much taller. And at the top, the Theodosian walls are actually wide enough for 4 horses to ride at the same time. So if you need cavalry moving back and forth really quickly, you can definitely do that. Oh, we have an Islamic call to prayer. It's prayer time. And obviously you can see all of these towers. So at the top of these towers, you see the crenellations. The crenellations are those like box-like things that you have on top. And if you notice, the top of the crenellations is slightly slanted. It's not flat. So that allows the archers behind the walls to fire at anybody that is coming below. And the Byzantines, or the Romans, actually pioneered the use of napalm fire. So they had grenades, they had explosive bombs, and they even used to have a rudimentary flamethrower that they would use over the walls to attack the people who were, you know, trying to besiege Constantinople. And there's a story, and this is definitely true, there's a story that goes like Attila the Hun and the entire Hunnic army was coming here over to Constantinople to ask the city for a huge amount of money, or they will destroy Constantinople. And they had already destroyed 2 cities. One is called Narcissus, and the other one is called Philippopolis. So they had already destroyed the cities. And for the Romans, this was a huge shock, because barbarians were never able to pass walls. They always had problems besieging cities, but the Huns were able to destroy the cities very effectively. But nobody really knows specifically why. Nobody knows how they mastered siege warfare. But for these particular walls, 2 months before Attila arrived, there was a massive earthquake and there was a huge gap in the wall. So the imperial government, the Roman Empire, they gave money to everybody to help out on the wall. They had all of the construction workers full in 24 hours. They had the military involved as well. And finally, they completed the section of the wall that had broken down. So when Attila and his great Hunnic army, an army that had been never defeated in battle before that time, when they came and looked at the walls, they saw it and they left. Because these are the Theodosian walls. They're not just any normal walls. And the Theodosian walls and the Bosphorus, as we've seen earlier, have been attacked by multiple nations. They've been attacked by other Romans, Persians, Arabs, Huns, Bulgars, Avars, other Crusaders, as well as the Ottomans and the Seljuks, of course. So the way that the Theodosian wall fell at the end, a little bit over here. So the way that the Theodosian wall fell at the end was in 1453. So in 1453, the Ottomans were attacking the Theodosian walls with massive cannons. And if you remember from the first video that we made, the Bosphorus has a huge chain, right? So the Bosphorus has a huge chain that is protecting the sea from enemy navies. The Ottomans, to go around that defense, they actually put all of their ships onto the ground and they dragged their ship across the land to put it back into the water behind these walls. It's because there was a weaker section of the wall at that side of Constantinople. So they started bombarding these walls with their massive cannons, and these were already walls that were 1,000 years old at that time, but they still held strong, even against modern weaponry. But finally, after days and days and days of bombardment, a section of the wall finally collapsed, and the Ottomans rushed in. So at that time, all of the Byzantines were doing a last defense, because this was the final defense of the empire, an empire that had lasted for 2,000 years. So there were a lot of casualties that day. Most of the Byzantine soldiers actually died. There were a few Venetian mercenaries who were helping, and one Venetian mercenary, he was like a charismatic leader, he got wounded and he got taken back into a hospital. But when the soldiers saw him going back into the hospital, they thought he was dying. And this was a guy that they really trusted and really admired. And when the Byzantine soldiers saw that he went to the hospital, they thought he died and they started panicking. And it was at that moment that the final Roman emperor, his name was Constantine the 11th, the same name as the man who established the city 1,000 years before. Constantine the 11th, he said that as an emperor, it is his duty to be the last man to defend the city. And he rushed against the Turks, and his body was never found. They only found his purple robe. So that is the end of the Theodosian walls. And after that, there are a few times when the Ottomans repaired it, that they renovated it, but they didn't need it as much as the Byzantines. So today, most of the Theodosian walls are actually ruins. This is probably the best part of the Theodosian walls that we've seen so far. And yeah, there's 1,000 years of history. Every single brick of this wall was probably covered in blood at some point in time. Because this is real history. That's it.